Hi, this is Chris, and we are continuing our video series on SAT explanations. Here we are taking a look at Test 3, Section 4. Let's go ahead and jump right into our first few questions. So for question number 1, they show us a graph of Marilyn's hike, and the question reads, the graph above shows Marilyn's distance from her campsite during a 3-hour hike. She stopped for 30 minutes during her hike to have lunch. Stopped for lunch. Based on the graph, which of the following is closest to the time she finished lunch and continued her hike? Well, let's see what happened during lunch. She stopped. So we know that her hike started here at noon, and then it went over this winding path that we see here until 3 p.m. So we have to figure out what portion of that graph is going to indicate when she stopped for lunch. And since this represents a distance from the campsite, then lunch is probably where she was stopped, meaning she's not moving further away or closer to the campsite. She's staying still, and that's going to be the flat part of the graph in here. So the exact point where she finishes lunch should be at the end of that flat portion of the graph, and that's going to be right here when she starts moving again, and that should be a little bit before 2 o'clock. The closest time estimate that we see in our answer choices for that one is going to be 1:40 p.m. Let's dive right into question number 2. And in this one, they show us a table, and it says the table above shows the distribution of age and gender for 25 people who entered a contest. If the contest winner will be selected at random, what is the probability that the winner will be either a female under age 40 or a male 40 or older? Well, let's take a look at those target groups. Female under 40, if we look at this 2x2 table, that would be right here. And then a male 40 or older, that would be right here. So because it says or, in this case, whenever you're dealing with probability, or means that you're going to add together those possibilities. So just think for probability, or means plus. And so here, we're going to have those 8 females under 40 plus those 2 males 40 or older for a total of 10 out of our grand total. They tell us in the question it's 25 people. They also show our grand total in the table under the totals portion where they add up all the rows and columns from the 2x2 information that we see there. So that would be 10 over our total of 25. And that matches up with what we see in answer choice B. All right, let's keep moving on through the section. And here we're going to take a look at question 3. So question 3, another figure-based question. It says the graph below shows the total number of music album sales in millions each year from 1997 through 2009. And we see the trend over those years, and it says, based on the graph, which of the following best describes the general trend in music album sales from 97 through 2009? So since the x-axis here shows years since 1997, what that translates into is basically, if you're 0 years from 1997, that means it actually is 1997. 1 year from 1997 would be 1998, and so on and so forth. So this would be 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. So let's take a look at what we see as our answer choices here. Sales generally increased each year since 1997. Well, it looks like they increased for a while and then kind of decreased for a while in that second portion of that. So it doesn't look like it's a general increase since 97. It also, for B, doesn't look like it's a general decrease. We're looking for something that explains that trend upwards at first, and then a switch, and then a trend downwards. So let's see. Answer choice C says it increased until 2000. Well, if we know that 3 years from 97 on our graph represents the year 2000, let's see if that's true. It does look like it goes up until that time, and then generally decreased Yep, it does look like it generally decreases after that time, after 2000. And so answer choice C is correct here. It matches the data that we see in the table. And again, here, there's no calculation that we have to do, but this is a data interpretation question, and you will see the SAT sprinkle those into different sections. You will occasionally have to do a little bit of data interpretation of a figure or table, even in a reading passage or in one of the passages that you might see in the writing and language use. So that can really pop up anywhere, and this is an example of how that gets tested in a math section. All right, let's try question 4. So here they give us a table of values for n and f of n, and it's always helpful to just conceptualize your functions as representations of your y values. So that's always important to know. And here, we're going to see a very standard setup to a question. A table of values for n and f of n here, and then answer choices that are a series of equations for differing expressions involving n and f of n. And our approach is always going to be the same. When we see this setup, we're going to pick values and plug in. Pick values and plug in. So let's try that here. And you can pick anything that you want. I like to keep things positive if possible, so you could pick this set of values, plug in a 1 for n, and see if you get a -2 for f of n, and that would be okay, but my instinct would be, let's try this where we end up with a positive value for f of n when we plug in a 2 for n. That way, we just have to deal with fewer negative results. It makes things a little bit easier when going through the math on it. So here, if I plug in a 2 for n, I should get a 1 as my result for f of n. And let's see if I try that for each of these answer choices. 2 minus 3 for a, that would come out to be -1. And that's not it. We're looking for something that gives us 1 as our result. 2 times 2 is 4, minus 4 would be 0. That's not it. 3 times 2 would be 6, minus 5. That does give us a value of 1. Looks like it might be C, but let's just test it out for the last one just in case. And I plug in a 2 for n. I get 4 times 2, which is 8, minus 6, that's 2. That's not it. So I can confirm it is, in fact, answer choice C for question 4. Thanks for watching.